The Tullibardine Distillery is situated in the community of Blackford in the Scottish Highlands, right at the A9, which connects the towns of Stirling and Perth. Tullibardine sees its roots in the year 1488, when the purchase of beer by King James IV from a local brewery was officially recorded. The actual whisky distillery was built in 1949 and worked until 1995. The today's modern buildings were originally erected as a shopping center of the House of Baxters. When this enterprise didn't succeed, the in 2003 reopened distillery took over the halls for its bottling plant. It will be opened shortly. The visitor center is new as well. The Tullibardine single malt is as well on display as the own blended whiskey Highland Cream. Highland Queen, I'm sorry. The original beer 1488 is not missing. It is produced today in a brewery close to Stirling. The generous tasting room is situated between the visitor center and the distillery from 1949. Here you are able to taste various whiskies from the distillery. We are not resting for long and reach the malt sieving machine first. Small stones picked up by the harvest from the fields are sorted out and the malt by shaking and gravity. The whole transport of the cereal is done with the help of closed classical conveyors and elevators. The malt is stored in 2 silos and is then transported again by drag conveyors to the malt mill. The control panel shows the principal design of the construction. Beside you see the classic malt mill. The mash tun is filled from the malt bin. You can see the first pair of pot stills right behind. The sugary water from the mashing is called wort and is pumped out of the mash tun right now. This is done through the so-called underback, the control of the quality, the clarity of the wort just by eyesight in the underback. Therefore, there is the light on top of the opening just for this purpose. The fermenters, called washbacks, are made from stainless steel. This makes the disinfection of the tubs a lot easier. Vinegar bacteria are everywhere to feed themselves on the sugary water, but only yeast produce the right alcohol and aroma for our whiskey. The fermentation process runs in this washback to the full. You can clearly see the bubbles, which are full of CO2. Yeast produces CO2 as a byproduct while producing alcohol. During the growth of the cereals, CO2 is taken out of the atmosphere again to produce the starch in the corn. This completes the cycle. The number and size of the washbacks corresponds to the time of fermentation, the size of the stills, and the distillation speed. Everything is arranged in a small room. This keeps distances short and productivity high. Finally, we see the heart of the distillery. Two pairs of mid-sized pot stills are standing vis-à-vis. First, we have a look at the 2 wash stills of the first distillation. You are able to identify them by the 2 gauge glasses, which allow the stillman to control the boiling process. Right behind the stills are the 2 condensers, where the alcohol vapor and water vapors condense again and are pumped from there to the receiving vats. On the other side stand the 2 spirit stills, and very much in the back the receivers for the distillation processes and the leftovers. Here again the 2 spirit stills with the rising line arms. Both wash stills work full throttle. You can clearly see the reboiling liquid in the gorge glasses. This is the maximum of boiling. Increasing the heat would lead to overboiling. You will have to clean the condensers in detail. A tedious work. The raw whiskey is pumped through a pipe into an old warehouse in which the filling and emptying of the casks for the bottling takes place. 2 pipes and a pump nozzles will shortly fill the 2 prepared casks. The old casks from the Fermentation Distillery show that both distilleries were sister plants in former times below the roof of the mother company White & Mackay. The stainless steel trench is used to collect the disgorged whiskey from the casks. There are some charcoal pieces at the bottom which are left over from the inner walls of the charred casks.
It's a charcoal in the wood. You can't envisage it. So no wonder it needs filtering.
The old warehouse number 4 shows the year date 1488 and the crown of King James IV.
You ask him why these barrels are here. You'll know.
Every year, the cask numbering starts at figure 1. These former wine casks the company Michael Picard Vins et Spiritueux acquired the distillery in 2011 and has of course access to the best wine casks. Whiskey of one batch is disgorged at first from a bigger vat from stainless steel and then in individual industry containers with contents of 1,000 liters. This approach will be obsolete shortly because the adjacent bottling line will start operation during the year 2016. Today, these containers go with a lorry to the old bottling facility. The site of the distillery is big and has enough space for future enhancements. The many casks on the courtyard show that the proprietor has just begun and has bigger plans for the future. And as always, farmers collect the residue from the mashing as animal feed. It contains plenty of proteins and minerals.